a semicolon, right? I can't.
Yeah, it's a semicolon. Okay, so now we know that that's the case here for our subject number. And now what I can do is I can come in and I need to find out every time that we have a 3, or at least our subject number, that's going to have to change. It's going to be here, and here, and it's going to be there, and there. Let's see if I missed anything else.
No.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, at this spot, we're going to replace that with the word SUBJ, because that's what this is, and subject is actually just equals to S. Now what does S equal to?
4.
Okay, so all it's doing is taking 4 and putting it there by virtue of these intermediary steps. How do you guys feel about that? Manageable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What we'll do as well is we're going to put an open bracket on the outside, and then we're going to delete that and take this little apostrophe that's here and make sure that we basically move it over right in front of this line there. And then we're going to have to come over here by the other apostrophe and put a little closed bracket. That concatenates that whole statement back into one thing. And we've done that before, so this is just a revision of revisiting what we did. All right, so we got that. So you can just watch, this is what I'm doing right now. Everything we just said. Is that it? Or did I miss any? What do you guys think about that? Did I miss anything? I think we're good, right? Pretty simple?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The closed bracket for the first one, it's after the AR and
Oh.
before the O. Okay.
That's because the script moved up.
Oh,
It actually, it needs to be there.
okay.
And it go the bracket goes after the little apostrophe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot more, huh? Okay, so why don't we give this a shot? The first thing that we want to do is save it before we do anything else. Because if it works, you guys probably want a piece of it, right? Okay, so why don't we save that? And I'll just save this as, and put it in this folder, the second hypothesis data, and I'll just call it ERP processing. And MATLAB doesn't like spaces, so I'll put an underscore underneath there, and we'll save it. So let's take a look here, and let's see how that works. So I highlight everything, and what you can do is right-click. You can right-click on the highlighted section and click the option for Evaluate Section. And we can watch to see, oh, there's an error. Let's see what we got to do to fix it up. Alright, so this is going to happen, right? This is the element of scripting. It's just part of the deal when we're writing code, is that every now and then, because it's a robot, right? We are training a robot right now. And robots are dumb. They only do exactly what you tell them to do, and if you get one little itty bitty baby mistake of a command wrong for them, they say, no, not doing it, sorry, screw you. Okay, so that's what they just told us, and a nice error message. Let's see, it'll tell us though, something about the for loop. Let's just take a closer look. Okay, it actually tells us that the expression or the statement is incomplete or incorrect. And luckily, it'll even show us, when you script in MATLAB, If you go all the way over here, there's a little red bar where my cursor is. It'll actually show you where the error is in the whole line of code, which is really helpful for troubleshooting. Okay? So let's see if we can figure it out. Okay. Maybe that's all it is. So I just had to bring up this definition up to the same line as 4. Let's save it again and run it. Try it again. So I save that. Highlight everything. Right click. Evaluate. Hey, so far so good. We didn't get the error message. It's weird. It's almost like things work. Right? And so I'll minimize this GUI so you can see it thinking in the background. And so it's going through in bin operations. And this is where you sit back and you have your margarita and you let the robot do the work for you. It's not a bad way to collect a paycheck, huh? You play some music, chill out, check your Facebook, Snapchat, whatever. Let the robot work for you. A lot easier, huh? If you set yourself up for success, it makes it a lot more easier and efficient in order to reach that success. So you front load the work into writing the script.
So
What's that?
it's running through like all of what data?
Every subject.
Even the really, really crappy ones?
Actually, right now, it's actually only running through subject 4, isn't it?
Because you said actually.
That's all I told it, right?
Oh, okay.
I gotta go, let me show you how to add more subjects to it. Good point. So it just takes a while because all those bins had to be loaded for that one subject. Now, that's only enough time to have one sip of the margarita, but what you really need to do, you want to have the whole margarita, right? Okay. So that's where you get enough time to have the whole margarita if you can make it for all the subjects. So we know that worked, which is beautiful, right? So now what we did is before you write a script for all the subjects at once, the smart thing to do is do what we did, is try it out first by hand for one subject, number 3. Then you build the script for one subject, like we just did for number 4, because maybe there's an error in it, which we found, right? We fixed it up. Now we know we did it right by hand, we did it right by the code, now it's ready for mass implementation, right? Now you can crush it through. And so here, all you got to do is, let's come back to our script, maximize that sucker. Okay, so instead of subject 4, we don't need subject 4 anymore, do we? You can type in all of them, 5, 6, 7, 8, but more easily, if you use the colon, 5, it's a sign for through, 5 through, I think it goes through 27, and then, let's see what other numbers, data numbers I have here. Okay, so we go through 27, then it goes 32 and 37. Okay, so let me type that in. 32 space 37. And then 37, 38, 39, 41, 38, 39, 41, 38, 39, 41. Let me paste over my data. We'll do subjects 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 87. Those are our 6 controls. And then, of course, we have 91, 92, and 93. Those are patients. Let me just paste those into our larger list here. Okay. So then in our subject list, then we will go 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 87, 91, 92, and 93. And then what you need to do is we need to put a bracket around those, open and close bracket. And then all is good in the world, and you can save that. So you see what I did? We started here, we had our colon sign, that means 5 through 27. So if you ever have just a straight run of numbers, you can use that so you don't have to write them all out the way we did over here. So I could have done 81 through 85 if I wanted to. That would have been those. And then I could have done 91 through 93 if I wanted to. These are not continuous because there's gaps in between them, so I just type the numbers in. And those are all the subjects that I grabbed. So I have 25 here, right? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. There's my 30. And then I have my 6 controls. They're middle-aged, and my 3 hippocampal amnesia patients. Are there questions on this structure and the script? So after having gone and done the first half of our class the way that you guys did, and doing all this by hand through the GUI, do you have a profound appreciation for how useful this is now?
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to save you a lot of time, right? But if we would have started with this, would it have made any sense at all? Nope. Nope. Nor would you understand what you're doing. You would just be, I'm just writing this because I'm supposed to write it. We wouldn't understand mechanistically what's actually happening. So that's how we're kind of working and building into this sort of scaffold of understanding. All right, we saved it. Let's see if it works. The moment of truth. Everybody have the margarita handy? Let's see here. Bring up our thing. And evaluate section. So far, so good. No error message. So we'll let this cook for a little bit. Okay. While that's cooking, I'm going to upload the script that I just wrote to the drive folder so you guys can have it as an example. And all that you guys do is you can just change the file directories. And you also want to make sure that the file names are similar to the way you named your files. Because the way I named them might have been a little bit different. Because you're going to get an error message. It's going to say file not found. Okay? So this is going to take a little bit for it to think. And while it's thinking, I'm going to think too, and I'm just going to upload that. Okay? So here we have our folder. I'm just going to add a file. And we are going to do that from data, G, second hypothesis, word processing. Okay, so that's uploaded. So this file is now available for you to work with and download. And some of the things that you're going to want to change is, one, you got to change your subject numbers because you might have picked a different group of 30 than I did. I don't know, maybe you didn't, maybe you did, but you're going to have to get that right. You're also going to want to change, you want to make sure that this, whoa, guess you moved to a new subject, huh? So your file name, you might have used a different naming nomenclature than I did. Okay, and you're not going to have Rick's desktop. At least I hope you don't. If you do, we need to talk. But, you know.
I was going to say it would be kind of funny if we had another person with named Rick.
Yeah.
That would be kind of funny. Except for Rick.
Okay, so you're not going to have, you don't want to change that. This is okay. You can leave this the same here. You want to change your file path here, right? In your folder directory. And same thing here. Want to change that directory. And you want to change your file directory there. Okie doke. Pretty easy? Okay. So let me erase this. And while the computer's still thinking, let me mention a couple points, and I'll show you a couple things. Any of you guys see the papers I posted to Blackboard yesterday?
Yeah.
So some of you guys might not have noticed I posted some papers to Blackboard because you guys had been asking about some literature review elements and some papers that might be good to think about. So there's a couple that have come out very recently that are very related to what we've been talking about in class. So, let's see if I can show you what I had in mind. So basically there's two. If you just scroll down to the bottom of our content, we have this recent review paper on ERPs that you can use for background information. And so this is basically a paper that is a chapter in a book. So it's a chapter, I think it's in a book, a huge Oxford handbook about memory, and the volume was edited by Howard Eichenbaum, who's a very prominent researcher from Boston University. And this chapter in particular is actually about ERPs of memory. And it's actually a review paper, which is nice, and it's by two very well-regarded researchers in the field on the ERPs of memory, Ken Paller and Jill Voss. They do very good work, and they do a very nice job providing you guys the information that you're basically trying to summarize in your literature reviews as well, particularly about the differences between conscious and unconscious memories as measured by ERPs. So it's a really nice thing that you can use. And then the bottom one down here is another review paper, okay? And this one is actually about implicit memory and explicit memory, but without ERPs. So this is more conceptual. If you want to build your theories and discussions and motivate your hypotheses, that can come a lot from this paper too. Okay, so this can really help you interpret your data in terms of the ERP results. This can really help you to discuss that data. Okay, so this is a brand new paper. It's in press by, I think it's 3 authors actually from Spain. And I believe it's in the Spanish journal Psicología. But it's in English. It's very well written. And it's a very good primer and sort of gives you a lot of good coverage in the field from which to place your discussions and theoretical interpretations and things like that. So I know some of you guys are Spanish speakers, so maybe you can even find an original Spanish edition of it, and maybe it might even be easier to read in that regard, which would be pretty cool. So kind of taking it back home to the father of modern neurosciences, fatherland. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Cajal.
Cajal, yeah. Right? The famous Spaniard neuroscientist? Father of modern neuroscience, the neuron doctrine,
Oh, yeah.
right?
The selfie.
He also father of the selfie, and the OG of neuroscience, the original gangster.
Turned
Right.
his life around.
Yeah, he really was an original gangster, right? He shot a cannon through his neighbor's yard in a local neighborhood gang dispute or something when he was a teenage kid. He's kind of a rebel.
I'm gonna say he shot a cannon.
Oh, he shot a cannon. Oh yeah.
I feel that's some teenage shenanigans that are insane right there.
It is.
They show promise right there because you're just like, no, there's guns, but I've got a cannon.
Yeah, he was straight up OG. It's a really good story. He talks about it in his autobiography. It's called Recollections of My Life, Santiago Ramón y Cajal. But it was originally written in Spanish and then translated in English. And I'm told the Spanish is very beautiful writing. The English is very good too, but I'm told that the Spanish is very nice. Anyways, you have a Spanish paper here about implicit memory reviews, review of ERPs of implicit memory and explicit. For those of you guys who are interested, there's a rubric for the papers. Maybe that'll help you. Okay, it's kind of some reminder templates. So on that note, when you start sending in your next versions of your papers, okay, this should be not just a rubric to help you write it, but it should also be sort of a checklist before you submit anything. Do not submit any more papers officially for grades unless you've gone through that rubric as a checklist and made sure that you've got every part that it says to have in there. It's a really helpful thing. Helps you avoid losing some easy mistakes. Okay. So, are there questions on that stuff? Okay. So what you can do is you can check your status. It looks like I've already gone, and while we were talking about all that other stuff, the robot, the computer, has already processed 10 different ERP subjects. It's pretty nifty, huh? Get some lunch, chill out.
What happens if it crashes?
Then it crashes, and
And
you
you start over again?
well, sometimes you could start over if you needed to, but Because you know the progress, which subjects have already been created here.
Okay.
You can go back into your script and modify it and say only start at subject 11 instead of subject 3.
Okay, because it doesn't like even let's just crash in the middle of like a subject that you're like mounting the bin. It causes an error to just redo that same subject, right? Like where.
Well, it might sometimes.
Okay.
And so more broadly to your question, I mean, what happens if it crashes? Generally, you have to troubleshoot. You have to find out why did it crash,
Okay.
what was wrong, why do I need to fix it. Usually, they tend to be issues in file names. So maybe you accidentally named this subject's file a little bit differently than you did everybody else's.
Okay.
So it's naturally going to crash and say, I can't do that because it doesn't exist.
Okay.
It usually says file name unfound. There could be 1,000 other types of errors, but typically they tend to be of that nature, and you just figure it out. You
We
sort
just
it
have to be
through.
very meticulous in how we like. use
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah, this is industrial professional EEG data analysis. You know, you got to do it right. This isn't, you know, BSing around. Yes, it's meticulous. It's got to be right. Because it's a robot. Like it can't think on its own. It doesn't know what to do unless you tell it exactly what to do. And if the one little thing is different than what it needs, it'll come back to you like an angry child and just be like, you're like, why didn't you clean the house? I told you to clean the house. And they're like, yeah, but you didn't tell me where the cleaner was.
But yeah, because like I noticed like for the Excel file for the behavior data, I'm like, okay, keep saving it because sometimes it crashes.
Yeah.
It crashed like, I think it took me an hour to do one participant because it kept crashing.
There
was when I
might
was
be a
helping
different
Lizzie.
reason than that.
I was like, what the heck? I'm like, oh my god, keep saving after every little copy and paste.
Yeah.
And I'm like, jeez, yeah. That's why she's like, do it on the drive. I'm like, well, that's even
Like
worse.
your computer do blue screen of death kind of crashing?
No,
Or?
I just shuts down. Yeah.
So, a couple things to note while this is working its way through. Okay? What might be some reasons why this is a really useful strategy to use this batch scripting approach? By batch, we mean you can process a batch of subjects all at once. Yes, customer?
Just because for me, I mean, like, 'cause, you know, just sitting with Leslie, usually, her computer does it way faster than mine. Mine can just take a little while just to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes me like an hour to complete like 2 of these things.
Yep.
Or so.
By hand, right?
Yeah. So just doing this, it's like maybe it'll take a little bit, but it won't take an hour to do 2 of these.
Yeah. So maybe you don't lose your mind.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Okay. So some computers are slower than others, right? Let's say that. So Leslie, you say your computer's really slow. What's one strategy that you can use with this? You set this up, and instead of going out to have a margarita while it's working and thinking, you set it up right before you go to bed. You press the button to process and you go to bed. And if it's really slow, let's say it takes a couple hours to work through 40 subjects, let it work while you sleep. Overnight, save time, be efficient. Crafty, right?
What if,
If you set yourself up for success, you're bound to find it. Set it up. Everything's about setting it up. So that you put all the work into getting the script right, and as soon as you put all that work in, all you do is do what we just did, which is press the button. Okay, take a break, let it go, hang out. I don't know, go do what you want. Go read some papers. Okay. So that's one real good strategy for why it's good. But also another reason why I wanted to walk through this and show you guys how to do it is because you're in the process of making new hypotheses. And you might have more than one, right? You might have different ways that you want to analyze the data or make some mistakes and have to go back and do it again. This allows you to do that really easily and really quickly. You might want to look at the ERPs in one way. So let's say baseline corrected, negative 200 milliseconds. So you might want to process it in that way. But then you might want to do it another way without being baseline corrected and going all the way back to negative 1,000. This allows you to process both ways really quickly and simply. Sound pretty good? As an example. So that way you don't get too overwhelmed by saying, oh, I did all this and then it didn't work out, or it's screwed up, or it's not what I wanted. Oh, and now I have to do this other thing, and oh my gosh, I got so much more to do. No. You say, oh, that's easy. I'll just bring up my script again. I'll change these 1 or 2 little parameters, and I'll just run it again, and I'm going to take a nap. and I'll come back when I'm rested, and it'll be done working for me, because I'm in charge, not the computer. Make sense? So I'm trying to show you guys these things to help you out, learn some efficiency. So really, really powerful tools to learn and adapt for the things that you want to do. So why don't we do exactly what I've been talking about, which is let this run, let's take a break, we'll come back in a couple of minutes, and revisit. Sound like a good plan?
Let's take a nap.
Wait, you could take a nap if you want, but
Okay, it's dark and quiet in here. Let's just all take a nap.
okay. Let's come back in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Subject 14 or 5 minutes.
Hmm?
You don't feel like subject 14 is only like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's pretty fast.
pretty fast actually.
I don't think I can sleep. I was scared that I might.
Yes, we're at subject 15 now, looks like. And yeah, you know, I mean, that's 15 is basically halfway through
Yeah.
the main ones, or it's just a little bit shy at halfway, but it is pretty quick.
Yeah, and it's like less room for error. Because there are times like
Yeah.
when I was in the other ones, I'm like, wait, what did I just do? Like, you know, something like a distraction or something. I'm like, wait, I gotta go back, like make sure I already did the bid option. I'm not redoing it.
Yeah, and that's the real power with scripting. When you're
Yeah.
using the editor and you write a batch script or anything like that,
Yeah.
it's one of the central dogmas of computer programming, which is basically that machines make less errors than humans do. Right? If you do it, like you said, if you do it, everything has to be just right, and what you are guaranteed of is that there's no errors. In every single subject, there's not an error. And when you go through by hand, you do every single one.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them you're tired, the other one, you know, your boyfriend sending you a text message, the other one you're talking about television or email or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know out of 40 different people that every single, you can't tell me for sure that
Yeah.
that there wasn't an error in one. That's a problem. And so it's really, really useful and powerful, not just for our own efficiency of being kind of lazy, we don't want to use the
Right, yeah.
hand processes, but it's a really powerful efficiency tool for actual accuracy.
Yeah,
It's really important.
yeah, because I think I'm like, because like in times I'm like, wait, did I just do that? I just end up starting over again. And then next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, there was 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And so this way, in terms of being a sort of a central dogma of programming, which is just that computers are dumb. They won't make mistakes that you don't tell them to make.
Right.
If you make sure that your commands to them are correct, then it's impossible for there to be an error. The errors come in from us.
Yeah.
Humans make mistakes, robots don't.
Yeah. I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Something as simple like even like when I first started like really learning Excel, you don't have to compute that 50 times. Just drag it down.
Drag it out.
I'm like, man, they should teach us more of that.
That's what I'm doing.
I know, yeah.
I am teaching
Yeah,
you
you
more.
are, but I'm saying like previously.
Yeah.
Oh, way easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way
So, I mean,
helpful.
that's the idea. It was from the
Yeah.
very first day in this class on the front page of the syllabus. I said, my goal in this class is to teach you employable skills that are actually useful in the world.
Yeah. I can see that now.
And you might never process EEG data in the world for an employment job. Or
Right.
maybe you will. But maybe you'll find another way to use MATLAB and use the skills that we're learning about how to script and program and write code
Yeah.
to actually use that in whatever your next walk of life is.
Wow, because it's not true. I just read a paper and for OT, and they use MATLAB. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
They use it from everything.
Yeah, I was like, that's really interesting.
Space shuttles to OT,
Yeah.
neuroscience and everything in between.
Man, I want to take that class. Do you have a book for it?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a book for it that you're
For what?
studying for the space travel and neuroscience?
I'm actually not teaching that class.
Oh, you're not doing it anymore?
It's been on temporarily put on hold.
Oh. Because
It's not- it's
I'm
not
not going
to-
to be here, but I was like, man.
It's not to say that it won't come around again.
What book are you going to use for that? Maybe I could just.
I was going to use a conglomeration of books, but there is one in particular that it's in the lab. You can go and check it out. It's actually, you know what? It's scanned in on the lab website,
Oh.
so you can get a digital copy.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering when I first like, I was like, man, when am I graduating? I was like, I wanted, and then okay, well now it doesn't. But I'm like, the neuroscience is space travel. I was like, that's really.
Yeah, so you have 30 years, if not more, of
neuroscience research in space about our responses to the bodies during being in space. And from ERPLab to the International Space Station, there's just been decades of research on the vestibular system, the visual system, cognitive systems, motor systems, sensory systems, all about how do we adapt to space travel, space
It's
flight.
really interesting because I like space, and this is weird. Since I was like a little girl, it's like the first thing I ever wanted to be like, I wanted to be an astronaut. Until I realized, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. But like, it's one
You
of
still
those
can be.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
Why not?
Because I don't know. I don't think I would want to like leave Earth. I don't know.
It's just a visit.
I was gonna say I'm afraid of heights. Like,
Well, but I mean, I've always like, astrophysics is just a whole different. Until you find out with astronomy, there's a lot of physics.
But you don't have to do those
No,
things.
it's not. But it's just, I'm just fascinated with that. I don't think I want to be an astronaut
I
though.
mean, you could be a
I used to want to go to space camp when I was like younger. But coming from like an Asian family, they're like, no. I'm like, I know.
There's a lot of Asian astronauts.
I know, but like with my parents, they're like, you're not. I was the baby. They're like, you're not going like for however long for.
One of the ways to get there is to be a doctor or a physician or some other position first, and so you just keep on that career trajectory, and yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I had no idea there was that much like study on like.
Oh yeah, well you gotta know those things because we lose our sense of where we are in space,
Yeah.
vestibular-wise, and we need to know how those reactions are going to happen. Motor abilities,
Yeah.
sensory abilities, cognitive abilities.
That's what-
can
yeah,
be.
that's
I
like
mean, those are all really important things. What if you have some cognitive abilities being impaired for long durations of flight? Things like memory and attention that you might need to land safe. Kind of important to know about, right?
Yeah, I never thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Until I saw that course, I'm like, neuroscience of space travel. And then I looked it up, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of like, what got you fascinated with that? Or just,
It's really cool stuff.
oh yeah, I figured, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna actually look at that book actually.
And you can feel free to check it out.
Cool, thanks.
Just check it off on the labs. Check
On
it
the
out.
list,
for 'em.
yeah. Oh.
So guys, while this is working, you can be, feel free to talk and chat and all that, but download that script, start working and developing it for yourself and for your subject numbers so that we can use this time effectively and efficiently to make progress for your work as well, beyond me just doing a tutorial showing you guys how to do it. run into any trouble or errors or questions with your own scripts, just give me a shout out and I'll come over and work on it with you.